thanks. Gracious words. I'm not as elegant as he is, so I'll try to rip through this fairly fast. I want to thank everybody in the room. I get asked over and over again, how did I get to this point? And I'm always amazed. I've had key people, and in the end, my life has been blessed. Every day has led to this day, which leads to tomorrow, which gets me closer to an end state. And I got to give thanks to God for each and everything. This has been a funky trip to get to this point. I was independent just a couple years ago. Wasn't happy with the party, unfortunately, like a lot. Steve has gone a lot. Where are you at, Steve? Steve's gone a long way. I think we're getting to the right leadership. I'm an old military guy. Spent a lot of time doing some strange and exotic things in the military. But I believe in a structure in life. The district nests in the county nests in the state starts impacting the country. And I believe in that wholeheartedly. So Steve, thanks for your leadership, and we'll continue to work that. And again, this district is completely in Anne Arundel County. So what happens here impacts Steve's race. So we are a team, and we need to do that at every level. The congressional race is the same way. And then on top of that, we're neighbors. So we have a lot of Pasadena folks here. We have Severna Park. We interact with everybody, and we all have to be synced in a message. And I think we're well on our way to doing that. And I've met great friends, Wes Adams. I fervently believe in his leadership. And again, so one of the things when this first started as an independent, I was talking to a church elder. I was a little bit dissatisfied with some things. And lo and behold, I got a call. And it said, hey, come to a meeting, Republican, down at the Glory Days. Let me go see what they're up to. Lo and behold, hey, did you consider running? Wow. So let me check with the wife. Let me check with my church. I have the great fortune, Jeff, where are you? He's outside. So Jeff, I happen to work for a friend of mine who supported it. And Jess actually planted a seed as well a year ago, where we were having dinner, and she said, you should run. We were talking about politics. So didn't think about that, and all these things come together. So it's pretty amazing. And one of the things I pray about constantly is, again, I'm a strong diver, not a smart diver. So God has put the right people in my place. So David Starr has been a tremendous help. David Zwald has stepped up. Greg Holmes is one of my dearest friends now from this race. The 31 Club and the 32 Club have been tremendous. So it's just been it's like a big onion, and the more I unfold it, the happier I get. And again, what's amazing about this is a room full of great people. And when I'm in a candidates night, and this is always amazing, we really everybody starts out with the right ideas. Everybody wants to help, but what this turns into, it's a philosophical difference. One side believes, and I heard this yesterday, and I'll go into that in a second, we need you to give us your money, and we will help you. The other side, of which we're fervent members of, is we want you to keep your money, and we want you to be responsible for your life and your success. That's the American dream. To simplify that even more, this side wants us all to get to the end at the same time and the same success rate, which really isn't success, whereas this side wants us all to start out the same. And then we get there on our own merits. And everybody has a place in life, and that's the way this, in its most simplistic terms, is supposed to be. And that's the fight in the country right now, and in this county, and in my district. Steve, so when I got in this race, I really thought, District 32, Linthicum, it's a little bit of Ferndale, it's Glen Burnie, oh Lord. When I finally got the map and realized how wide and big it is, I was like, oh man, what have I gotten into? But then I started looking at the resources. And I'm like, well, I'm a retired military guy. Why haven't we had military guys running? Jim's the last successful guy, and it's not like he didn't go anywhere, so we should have this foundation. But I didn't realize the full impact of this until I heard Steve about 6 weeks ago, and he mentioned the county resources and lifting Anne Arundel County up to the place it should be in the state. And he started ticking them off. NSA, which is the biggest job generator in the region, which is on Fort Meade, which has Cyber Command, which is a joint command which is tremendously huge. And that joint command also brought all the component and, well, for those not, I don't mean the Army cyber, Navy cyber, and so forth. And there's a variety of other organizations that are moving to Fort Meade. Huge. So you have that military industrial complex, of which I'm a member. Brian, I think you are too, and there's a whole bunch of other people in here. So there's a lot of us that support that, and we're impacted by it. Arundel Mills and the casino. As Steve said, it's the biggest gambling floor in the country. So it's huge. Arundel Mills, my wife's worked there and my other daughter for numerous years. My blood pressure goes through the roof when I go in the parking lot, but that aside, the revenue that place generates is just tremendous. We have BWI, which like, throw a rock and you're gonna hit it. That connects us to the world. It's international. So we have a growing hospital. So we have all of these things in here, and then he went on to talk about the academy and of course the Capitol, but these first things are in District 32. So then it started occurring to me, well, why am I having problems? Why? We need to pull this district back in because of the resources and this is where it gets critical, and be good stewards of this district. Because this supports the philosophical side over here versus this side. They've got a lock on it and we got to break that because they're buying votes. So it's tremendously important for 32. And ultimately, you know, I do this for my grandkids. We're on a pendulum that's just swung so far, it can't sustain itself. The Maryland State Comptroller said that himself. We can't tax anymore. He's a lifelong Democrat. Can't tax anymore. When you got the money guy in the state, in the one-party state saying that, if that's not a red flag, I don't know what it is. So my granddaughter is going to be starting school here, kindergarten, in the fall. She's going to go to the same school her mother went to. Same school her grandmother went to. So you get no more District 32 than that. So we know what it's like. We've had rocky years. My wife supported every mad adventure I've been on. And we need to change this, and I need help. So I'm a fighter. I'm a tilter. I spent the day yesterday walking Russet, which is 4-1 Dems. And I heard 8 people tell me taxes are okay. Okay. So how do we in this room overcome that? So I started asking them, all right, so that's cool. So why do you think the taxes are? And basically it comes down to a moral imperative. They think they need to give their money to the state because then the state will take care of people and they can wash their hands of actually helping people. So that's the first philosophical flaw we got with this side, because we need to be communities helping one another. It's not the government. The government is a bunch of people from different places that collect a paycheck. It's an entity. It's no different than a corporation. They like to scream on corporations. The government can help, so can corporations. But this comes down to communities, churches, and organizations like that. We have to get back to those pieces. So they're washing themselves of their moral obligation. So that's the first point. You start talking, well, how efficient is your dollars? Then their lights start going off. Well, we start talking about education. Herb McMillan wrote an absolutely great piece for the Gazette a couple weeks ago. I got that thing memorized forward and backwards, and I'm using it to take education back from the Democratic Party, because I'm tired of them dictating what we in this room are. They set our identity, and that stops. So we have them getting money, but my money doesn't come to Anne Arundel County, it goes to Baltimore City. We subsidize a failed education system. When you start talking that to the Democrats, they begin to understand, because this impacts their kids. I had 2 people say, well, we're waiting for a school, we're a little disappointed the school's not being built. I forget the name of the school. I said, well, that's because we're sending money into the city, and oh, by the way, do you think the city's any better off with your money? No. Well, that's government. The other thing I use is governance. This isn't about politics, this is about leadership. People who have to make hard decisions. We're at a zero-sum game. We need to start balancing our books, and we need to start setting priorities. Leadership is, hey, today this is where we're at. If you're below this cut line, it doesn't get done this year. Is that horrendous? Sure. But we need to give money back to the people, and we need to start putting those taxes back to work. The 9 or 11 states, I keep hearing 2 different numbers, that don't have state income tax are the only states that are growing in the country right now. There's a reason for that. It's again, I'm a common sense guy like Steve said. We need to do away with the income tax. Then we need to tie accountability back to the state. We do horrible here. I'd like to see where every organization that gets a state dollar and this isn't my idea, this comes out of the federal level. We have what's called the Combined Federal Campaign, and they tell you every time you go to give that, you get to pick your charities. There's 500 of them in there. How much of that charity, when you go to it, how much of your dollar that you give goes to the actual cause of the charity? What a novel idea. Can you imagine if the University of Maryland tells you how much of your dollar that you spend for your kid to go there actually goes to the student-teacher interchange? That's a novel approach. $250 million is taken out of the Save the Bay fund this year, while we have we get more taxes to save it. So wouldn't it be nice to know how much money is actually going to the Bay from Save the Bay? What a novel idea. So that creates the accountability for the budget. So here's your budget. Last thing we can do, and I don't know where I'm at on this, I got to figure out if it's constitutional, is I like to see the legislation get paid based on a performance base, like a lot of us do in industry. You balance the budget and you're within this percentage, you get your pay. If you don't, you get docked a little bit. If you decrease the budget, you get a bonus. Wouldn't that be amazing? Can you imagine? I'd even double their salary if they dropped the, imagine in a state of this size with the billions of dollars in budget, if they cut 10% out of it. It would triple your salary. Now the cronyism kind of goes off the table and these guys can work for their own money. So again, I don't know if that's constitutional, I'm still trying to research that, but these are the kind of the things we're looking at. Now in my district, I have a 17-year incumbent and I have a 8-year incumbent who was on the county council before that. My 8-year incumbent has voted for every tax and fee that has come out there. And I'm not hiding it, she is now saying she's a fiscal conservative. So we're going to take that from her. So she doesn't even, we live in Linthicum. I'm 20 minutes from Annapolis, 30 if you add traffic on 97. But she stays down there every session for 90 days. So I'm going to offer to let her ride with me when I win in November. So she can ride with me. The other thing, and this goes back to simple solutions. The federal level, we have what's called the joint travel regs, and they say 50 miles. We need to start looking across the board. We got to stop reinventing the wheels. And we need to do more due diligence on what we pass legislation for. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm a process guy. I'm a Don Quixote. I've spent my whole life doing this. Jeff, you're back in the room, right? What do you send me when you want something tilted? So that's what I've done professionally, change management, so we can do this. But as Steve said, I need help. I'm a long way from 7 mailers. We're going to need those. The other side is sitting on a war chest up here. It's pretty impressive. And then the other piece, I'm going to speak specifically to it, we have a gentleman named Mark Chang. Many of you know him. So Mark switched sides. And we need to mitigate his influence in this because every Republican that swings to him, whether they know he's even a Republican or a Dem now, is a Republican loss for our side. So I'm looking for volunteers for help on that. And in the end, I just need labor. I walked for 7 hours by myself yesterday, hit 270 doors. I can do that every weekend from now until election, and I'm not going to crack the code. So I need that. I need support. I want to caveat on what Steve said. I can take up to $4,000. If you have a business, I can get $4,000 from it too. So again, I want to thank everybody for coming. If you have any questions, let's talk afterwards. But again, I appreciate everybody's support. Carol, I want to call Carol out because she has done a phenomenal job. When Steve mentioned or Dave mentioned opening your houses, Carol has had 2 house parties for me. And they've been tremendous in gaining support, donations, and sign locations. Signs the other thing. 60 days out, I can put signs up. I am prepared to blanket the district, but I need to get outside of Glen Burnie and Linthicum, which are common sense areas. I need to hit Maryland, Laurel City. So for those that don't understand District 32, I have everything that, I have all of Laurel that's in Anne Arundel County. It's Maryland City and 2 precincts in Russet. I have Fort Meade, Severn, and a couple other places up through this area here. So if you know someone down there, I need access. So again, thank everybody for your support, and I appreciate it, all that you've done, and thank you.